Hello, everybody. Welcome to Everything in Moderation podcast. We have the three boys here today. We have Danny, Patrick, and Anthony. Anthony with some interesting news for us today, if he wants to bring it up real quick before we dive into our topic of the day.
Yes, I do. So the news is that I started my own podcast. So I will still be with everything in moderation. I'll still moderate the debates. I'll still come in to discuss various shows from time to time, like I always do. The name of my podcast is called the Anthony Miragliotta Show. Cool name. So yeah, my first episode is going to be coming out this week. Christian will put the link in the bio, and you guys can all enjoy if you enjoy watching everything in moderation so much.
And Danny has sort of a similar announcement as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was planning on dropping it next week, but I am also making not a podcast. It's more over a YouTube channel with a Twitch as well. So that's all out. The YouTube, Twitch, Discord, everything is all ready. So if you want to go give it a look, it's called Modern Liberty. Nothing really is on there. I'm on Twitter as well, but this week I'll be releasing content, and one an intro video and then the other an episode as well. And then during the weeks, Tuesday and Thursdays, I'll be hosting a 2 hour live session where I talk to different people and do a little analysis on different things within politics. But the big thing about my YouTube is really looking at the value of different policies and different things. We're not very not going to talk about social issues, so that'll be a little retreat from the usual. You know.
The real thing is though is you should play a political strategy game on your Twitch.
Bet I'm down.
Like while you're talking about this stuff, like Hearts of Iron 4 or something, like play like different mods. Just go into that. All right, back to business. What are we talking about today, boys?
We're talking about the status of the Biden administration. What has Biden done? What has Biden not done? And what has Biden continued from the Trump administration? So, how many days has it been since he's been elected? More than 100, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
It's January 20th.
Yeah, it's been a time. So, what has he done? He's
Nothing.
done a lot of in some senses I agree with you. Biden has definitely not tackled a lot of issues. He signed a lot of executive orders, some reversing a lot of Trump policy, some all related to vaccines. I feel like the executive orders are just like your regular thing that's going to happen when it comes to a Democratic president entering what was a Republican administration. So I definitely think that's just going to happen. But let's take a look at different things that he's had to deal with things that he's dealing with. So maybe let's talk about one of the first things he's done in his administration, which was the $1.9 trillion stimulus package. Does anybody else know about that or anything
Yes,
that
we do.
included?
Yeah, but that was a bill that was passed by Congress, and he signed it. He pushed for it, but now, as all these bills are passing through Congress, that they're billions and trillions of dollars, the inflation has been going up. The prices at stores have been, they've been going up too, and and the same thing with gas prices too. They've been going up. I've noticed myself. I'm paying more at the pump. I'm going to the pump more often. It's crazy. I rather I want to have more money in my pocket, and I had more money in my pocket. When Trump was in office.
So just real quick, I would caution talk about gas prices in any administration. Gas is a commodity, as we all know, and it depends on how valued it is in America.
Well, the Obama days they were high too. So and then
well, yeah.
Trump,
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I know what my question is. What would a president affect on it? The reason why prices were down under Trump was because
Biden's
why?
policies made it go up.
No.
Yes.
The reason why
yeah.
the reason why Trump the reason why it increased under Trump was because not a lot of people were driving during the pandemic. A lot of people were working from home, and the prices
they were low before
decreased.
the pandemic started.
But now they've increased. I'm just trying to say that it's a commodity. It's something else you really don't want to tackle.
Well, I'm
But,
saying that like the way you're wording it, Danny, is kind of a little bit misleading. That's why.
Okay, give me an example of policy Biden has done related to gas, or Trump. What has Trump done related to gas? He subsidized it?
Related to gas.
Yeah, did he subsidize it at all?
I just said that he's that it's been made it lower. So under Obama was high, and then Biden made it higher.
How did he make it lower? Did he subsidize gas?
I say his policies helped make gas lower.
What policy? I'm asking what policy. If you can name one, I'm down with accepting that. But from my knowledge, they don't really take a part of it. It's government reach within gas. If he were to take any stance within it, so that's not really a Republican stance, nor is it really a Democratic stance at this point to even touch or even subsidize gas. So that would be the only real effect of that. But let's get off the topic. This is going somewhere different. So the stimulus plan, right? There was two proposals. One was a $600 billion proposal that was sent in by Republicans. The other one was a $1.9 trillion proposal. This is for the stimulus package. What did the 1.9 do over the $6 billion? Well, it helped with the moratorium. It sends these relief or money to different states so they can help pay out the people that can't afford their rent. Why can't people afford rent right now? Unemployment. So that is a direct effect of the coronavirus. So you could say if you're worried about deficit, you should universally be worried about deficit in general. But it goes against the relying modern monetary theory that deficit spending should basically just be used for a tool to help Americans, if anything. And if it doesn't do that, then you're wasting money. So what did the $1.9 trillion help Americans? What would have happened if we did not do
it? Didn't help Americans.
How?
Because we're paying for all these bills that are being passed with billions of trillions of dollars coming out of our pockets.
The 1.9, I would caution, $1.9 trillion was not out of any American
Yes,
pockets.
It was. Government funded money is taxpayer money. I'm not sure whoever here doesn't know that, but newsflash, that's that.
Will your taxes increase this year?
The taxpayer, yes, it has increased this year by a lot.
Who?
Everybody, mostly middle class.
You look at the 2021 tax bracket, the 2020, it has not increased. And I'll tell you this. So here's the common misconception when it comes to spending on a package, especially when it comes to every year.
Have increased under this president. If you don't say that, Danny, you're wrong. You're just wrong.
I know. I mean, I check tax brackets, man. But here's where the disconnection is. Here,
I know a lot of people in my neighborhood, their taxes have gone up.
Did they make over $200,000?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'd argue that at least the target, is supposed to be 200 plus or even 400K plus. And of course, the Biden administration are trying to reach these certain goals, whether it's environmental, social. And what we've seen is that it's been very hard to reach, whether they've said it just to get votes or just the factors of the pandemic, which have been excruciatingly difficult to go through. So I'd support Danny's point that he's trying to make, that it's going to go higher. If it affects lower income people, like the middle class, rather, you'd say that bracket there, then I have not seen that yet either, but I'm not ruling it out yet.
So one important thing to talk about when it comes to this stimulus package, the 1.9 trillion stimulus package, was a complete deficit spend. It did not bounce back to taxpayers. We'll go later to Biden's new bill, the $3.5 billion infrastructure plan. That is paid partly by taxpayers, and I'll go into that later. But the stimulus package, it's all deficit spend. No one has increased their taxes from the stimulus package. However, what the thing we need to ask ourselves as Americans is, did this stimulus package help us?
It was not necessary.
So let's say if we didn't do this, we wouldn't have money allocated to states for eviction and moratoriums. What would have happened for that? I mean, not to say that a lot of states didn't even use the money. New York, less than 1% of the money was used from this fund. But say, what would happen?
All these spending bills are unnecessary. We don't have money as it is, and spending money as it is right now is just reckless.
I mean, we spent trillions of dollars last year, and no one was complaining about it. But here's the thing. What would have happened directly from this bill if this did not pass?
We would have more money in our pockets.
So we would, first of all, there would be an end to the eviction moratorium that is keeping a lot of people from losing their housing status. Why do we care about that as Americans? Well, for low income earners, they are part of our economy. So making sure that they have a house and making sure that they can go to work is very important to the U.S. economy. So, you could say that $6 billion is not useful, but it did help people in America. So, let's move on from this. Does anybody else have any thing that they want to mention about Biden, or anything that came up?
I do want to mention one thing about but everyone knows before his presidency, everyone knows when January 6th happened. And in his candidacy too, how he condemned the BLM rise before when it started hurting in the polls, and then he condemned the January 6th charging of the Capitol. He condemned that right away. And now his DOJ, they're all doing this stuff to prosecute everyone who basically charged inside the Capitol on January 6th. But everyone who was causing a ruckus this past summer with BLM, they get off scot free. It's why is there a difference? Because their supporters over the summer are also Democrats, but the people who charged the Capitol supported Trump. This is an unequal justice system, and I know when Republicans take back the House in 2022, which I know they definitely will. There will probably be a commission into this whole thing about people, get their buildings, and businesses getting set on fire, and people losing loved ones. It's something that should never happen in America ever again.
Patrick?
Yeah, my point was just a closing remark on the stimulus area, so it's a little off topic, but I was going to say if we were going to do any comparisons we could have done between the Trump administration and the Biden administration, it's a little more objective, although I believe during the Trump administration it was a bit less. So we could just argue there, is it really so much of the Democrat Party to do that if the Republican Party also supported it? But I guess we could continue off of Anthony's point. I would say it might be at a bit of a loss though, because that is more in the hands of the media, and not everything was just hidden. People saw, burning buildings. They know whose businesses were destroyed, and they still acknowledge that it really doesn't matter because it's so polarized in the fact that they think that it's so polarized in the fact that they can't think straight. So, people who support January 6th riot versus people who support BLM riots, I think we should just find a middle ground and be able to say they're both kind of bad. These are the reasons why, and how can we move from it, rather than just blaming people. Because again, just to be a little more concise here, there were a lot of Trump supporters who were peaceful on January 6th.
You're right.
And there are a lot of BLM supporters who are very peaceful in their protests. Let's recognize those two sides, and then let's also recognize the violent and ignorant sides and be able to decipher. I think that's an important remark. And then we can relate and see, is Biden really cognizant, or does he acknowledge this, or is he still wiping his ass? I don't know. It's just, I don't even think he knows where he is right now. So, I mean,
I don't think anyone knows where he is right now. Everyone knows that.
Would you guys,
but one thing I want to say before Danny, I do want to say, I mean, Patrick is right though. But one of the things I've been listening when I was watching with Dan Bongino one day on Hannity, he did say, the whole point is that about the January 6th commission, about how if you want to investigate political violence, that's fine, but look at it from both sides, not when it just benefits you politically. So let's look at the political violence from last summer and from what happened on January 6th. Yes, I mean, were there peaceful people on both sides? Yes, there were, but there are violent people too, and that needs to be addressed. It shouldn't happen in our country ever again.
Yeah, that's definitely a good take. And I was just gonna move on from this topic just to hit more topics. What Biden has done. What have you guys thinking about the immigration policy now? Biden has basically continued the Obama administration, the Trump administration policy of when children come with their families to the borders or get lost in the borders, that they are taken to these intermediary facilities where they stay for long periods of times until they can find their parents and deport them, or they're just docketed in. So what do you think about that? Do you think this is a good thing?
Biden's border is the most terrible border that we've had in a long time. Apprehensions have skyrocketed. People trying to cross over it has skyrocketed. I mean, I know I did see the other day that he did quietly bring back a Trump era policy, but he has nearly ended all Trump policies at the border, which were working. But like you said, Danny, he went back to the Obama days. It needs to be addressed. This is a manufactured crisis that's going on at the border that has been started by the sitting president and the vice president of the United States. And, I mentioned this, my dad told me this, and he did say, because the worst president, in his lifetime is Jimmy Carter. And he said the reason, he was the worst president because, he mishandled crises. But the difference with Biden is that he created crises and he never addressed them. I mean, Kamala Harris is the border czar, and she hasn't even gone down to the border yet. I mean, I know what you're going to say, though. You're probably going to say, oh, wait, but she has gone down to the border. She went to El Paso, but she went into the part of Texas where the border, where she didn't go to the part of Texas where the border was. So she wasn't even near the border at all. She isn't doing her job, and she's failing as a vice president right now. It's unbelievable. I mean, and people need faith from people like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, and they're not getting that credit. People don't see them as the leaders of the free world. Really, I mean, it's sad, but you need to people want this crisis to be addressed.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty funny to see how like campaign promises were like, the border will be fixed, whatever, everything will be good. People will be able to come with their kids and stay with their mothers and fathers. And then pretty much what you got is a lot of the same. Maybe
almost the exact same, except what they did? Oh my God, this change is hilarious. They put plastic barriers around instead of the cages, and they're like, this is amazing.
Well, that probably made things so much hotter in the building too. If that's like, I don't know.
It's just such a stupid change, man.
I am a little sickened about it, but I just don't understand why they'd make a promise during a time where immigration and refugees, that issue is so exacerbated. I mean, if you look at the pandemic, you have people suffering so terribly in their economies, in their poorer economies, that they come here. So you have a lot more people coming in. And I will say that I'm a big supporter of people who want to come to this country, even though, because generally a lot of people want to come to this country, really appreciate what we have here, and they understand that you can really build a life here. So I appreciate those people, and I believe the majority of people come in are great. But yeah, you are seeing something a little bit sneaky. I know this is getting away from the specific policy that Danny wants to talk about, but I did see in a press conference that Kamala Harris said, I'm not sure if it's specifically targeted towards Guatemala, but she said for people to go back home and that we need to reinforce the border.
Do not come.
Yes, do not come.
I'm going to come.
And I agree with her. But at the same time, I am a bit infuriated because, again, she's using the same focus point that Trump did, just a little more quiet. No.
Oh my God!
Just because Patrick has.
Why do politicians think that arriving at a destination is such a amazing event?
It's just a photo op. It's a photo op.
It works. People believe that.
Like I always wonder why. Like,
Look,
I have arrived. Now what am I gonna do?
Politicians just don't do it. People running for office do it too. So I'm just throwing it out there.
The whole world does it, guys, because you literally see Instagram influencers just like going to like some random location and then taking a quick flick, get it for the likes,
True. Yeah.
So, just real quick,
have we ever done
a take?
I just want to have a quick question though. I mean, have any of us done a photo op before?
I don't think
I don't think so.
I could do one. It's possible.
Maybe like on Instagram at like a nightclub, but
everything in moderation. Swimsuit edition calendar.
But just to have a take here, my overall take about the immigration issue is that no one's going to have a right side to it, and everybody's going to be mad about it. Every administration that comes through. Why? It's because immigration is, like Anthony said, is a manufactured problem. So what happens when people come to the earth? What happens when the population of America grows? Our economy grows. Economies scale. We know this from macroeconomics and microeconomics. So more people come into our country, it's not a bad thing overall. So you look at it and be like, then why do we have this problem? Well, because, you know, we are our own country, our own solitary country. So why don't we have and protect our borders? You know, there's two different conflating like interests here. And I think they're both valid. You know, however, just doing trapping fucking kids, you know, at the border.
That started under Obama.
Like, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point, right? Like putting kids in cages on the border. Like, why are we doing this? Why are we handling in this way? And we should honestly really look at the root cause of this problem, aka the cartels. Why are the cartels so powerful? Because of drugs and the legal market there. So we could take a deep little look into that, but I'm not going to go that far into it. I'm just saying that this issue is a lot more complicated than people think. It's not about, you know, building a wall to block them all out, and it's not about opening the borders up and telling them to come in. It's about solving the problem that they want to even come in here in the first place. And, you know, there's a lot of things that the United States has done that has made that problem worse, which is the interventions within South America, but it's a whole other issue, right? But is anybody want to add to this one before we get to the topic?
Pat, you go first.
Okay. I will say there are studies on this. I know we talked about Poland. Remember about how kind of united they were in a weird kind of, I wouldn't like a weird ethnic racist, I don't know, some weird kind of way. But for some reason it was more united because they had a very similar culture. Everyone, you know, kind of agree with a lot of things. They're really strong there. It's more extreme side. So I think a worry for a lot of people, which could be a valid point, is if you just bring people in without going through the right legal process, which in my opinion is a little too difficult. I've looked into it. I don't want to get into it now though. But yeah, if you just let people in without having them understand the history, the culture of the United States, and kind of appreciate that, then people are worried that the certain votes or the way they act might change the country. That is a valid concern of people. You know, and I also agree with Danny. I think both sides are very valid in terms of wanting people to come in. I think it boosted the economy well, versus also people wanting to protect the border, because they're both valid. If we could freaking find a medium ground. I mean, I think the biggest issue is people just want to seem virtuous. People just want to seem virtuous. And then if you don't sound virtuous, then you're automatically racist or xenophobic. People need to cut the BS political language and just get to the root cause. Talk on economics, talk on safety, and talk on legal issues.
Even if you don't have a stance on some issue, then you're called a racist or a xenophobe.
Yeah.
You're allowed to not have a stance on something. Yeah, but what I was going to say though about the border, about, you know, because people are, you know, coming into this country illegally. You know, they should be coming through a process. You know, not just, you know, say, oh, hey, I'm coming from Mexico, I'm here now. But that's not how it works. I mean, look, I'm not, you know, anti-immigrant. You know, my grandparents immigrated from Italy. You know, when Italy was controlled by Mussolini, and they end up living the American dream. So again, I have no problem with people coming here. Just come here, you know, legally. But what's going on now when people are just coming here, you know, immigrating, you know, from like Guatemala, Mexico, all these other countries, and then they're not contributing to, you know, America, to the society and the economy. You know, some of them, you know, they just go and, you know, they smuggle drugs into the country, they rape people. Those are not the people who don't contribute to our society. Like, you know, I would say, you know, contribute to our society, or, you know, don't come to the U.S. at all. You know, I mean, because these people, they don't do it. They come to America and they don't contribute to our society, and those are the people who we really don't want. We want the people who want to work hard and make a living.
And I would
you also don't blame them though.
I would say that the majority is the people that actually want to come here and work hard.
Vast majority.
Yeah, I agree.
You can't blame them for not. You know, there's a reason why they're coming here.
Mm-hmm.
The reason.
All right,
from all areas. I don't know, including Switzerland. Do Swiss people want to come here? I don't know.
I don't know. Switzerland's pretty cool.
I actually doubt it.
All right, so let's move on to the probably the final thing we could tackle when it comes to Biden, and this is a upcoming thing, so it's not completely solid yet. But there are two proposals for the infrastructure package. So the first infrastructure package, I believe, will help the infrastructure of like roads, high-speed internet, which definitely needs to be updated if you're looking at the map, especially in the Midwest area. Stuff like that, like regular infrastructure building. Just update, we need $3 trillion this year to update our infrastructure. So this is 1/3 of that. So that's pretty good. And this, the reconciliation to the infrastructure package does not include any more for that. So just letting you know that this is not involved. However, I do think that it is important. So what is the extra 2.5? Actually, I think it's this what I'm talking about right now is $1.8 trillion from that package. So this, and I think this, if Biden can get this passed, it will be one of the things that will attribute to if he does run next, election, his victory. Because this is a very, this will affect a lot of people in a good way. So let's take a look at what it does give you. So first of all, if you get universal pre-K, free community college, that's 2 years of community college, national paid family leave, permanent earned income tax credit. What is an income tax credit? If you make below a certain amount, you will get money back. Permanent dependent care credit. That is a tax break for people that, or have dependents. Child tax credit till 25. That means every child you have, it is a tax credit. And that is $1.8 trillion over a decade. So that's 10 years. So this is how they're looking to pay for it. And this is the big difference between the stimulus package, because that was full deficit spend. This will be hitting taxes. So how are they planning on paying for at least portion of it? When we look at, how you pay for anything, it is a portion of the taxes against deficit, and they decide whether this deficit is good or not. And then the Treasury, milks out the money. But they're paying for with the top individual rate going up to 39.6. So that affects 400K income earners and above. Tax capital gains as an income for households. So it'd be the same as your income rate for people making over $1 million in cap. When a person or a beneficiary receives an asset, and this is called the end stepped up basis. When you see an asset after death, you receive its market value at that exact time. They're looking to end that process just because you're earning extra money off of their actual assets before sold. But the most important part of this bill is there is going to be no tax burden on the middle class. Only people getting taxed this much are earners over 400K, not 200K, not even the second one. So, I think this bill is probably one of the most important things that he could pass. What does everybody think about it?
First of all, I want to say you have no idea what you're talking about. And first of all, Biden will be a one-term president because even the DNC, I believe it was DNC, said that Biden and Harris are too weak to run for another term. So we will have a new president in 2025, well, in 2024 when they get elected. Like I said before, we don't need to do any of this reckless spending anymore because we don't need it. We don't need any more of these taxes or whatever it is, universal health care, me paying for someone else's health care. We just
you wouldn't be paying for anything in here.
It's just reckless.
You wouldn't be reckless. I'm saying, but you personally would not be paying for any of this.
Well, I think I should probably read the bill again.
Just out of curiosity.
You need to read the bill again.
Can I butt in? Because I'm really just curious about, I haven't had a lot of time to look too much into this, but I know it's a huge bill. So I don't know if anyone knows off the top of their head or if anybody has it online. Okay. I want to know, CIC roads, bridges, major projects. I would like to know a little more information there, like which areas, and I also want to understand a bit more on how we can see that it won't affect those under 400K.
Okay. So first off, you're looking at right now, the $1 trillion package that doesn't arrive within the budget reconciliation. That will take place during that process. And the reason why I'm giving you this number is because what I listed before is how they're going to pay for it. So they're increasing the income tax rate. When I say this is exactly what they're doing to pay for it, okay? They're increasing the individual rate that for top marginal earners to 39.6%. Then they're going to, for the tax capital gains as income for people that have over 100 or $1 million in cap. and then they are going to end that stepped basis thing, which is basically a way to gain money off of inheritance.
Do you believe any of this can be dodged by the top earners? So not 400K plus, but I'm talking even higher, the Bezoses.
Well, first off, the top individual rate, it doesn't really affect high earners. Why? Most of their money is in assets. So now, here's the important thing, though. Here's the important thing. The second measure in this will say you make over $1 million, you are taxed on based on income. Why is this important? Because you're people that make a ton of money on the stock market, they're not taxed. They make trillions of dollars in untaxed income. I mean, even look at Jeff Bezos. How much is the net tax? I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. And this is an important stepping stone. I'm not saying this is instantly going to fix the system, because it's not. This is a stepping stone in trying to identify what's really playing into the massive wealth inequality within the United States. And I think that this is definitely the most liberal thing I have ever seen Biden put out. I don't know if this is going to pass.
I've seen more liberal.
Yeah, it's definitely freaking a huge package.
Yeah,
so.
it also makes me think of this huge change to trying to solve, or at least limit the issue of this climate change. I'm trying to learn more about it as well. So I'm curious to see in the coming years if this is passed, if this has any effect. And I'd add one more thing, since we're running out of time. I just want to keep moving, to see how the Biden administration acts, not just with climate change, but also the race for clean renewable energy and stuff like that against Russia and China. The reason why I say this is because if you see a greater change in renewable energy, all these other sorts of things, and people become less reliant on countries like Iran and Russia, what you'll see more, in my opinion, is you'll see more attacks through cybersecurity and things of that nature by Russia, Iran, who just want to be known, be a pest. So I know that's a huge change, but just because we're short on time, I'm trying to stimulate some more thoughts over here and to see how this new administration acts in an international sense, in a security sense, also with this environmental issue.
Yeah.
Just to get some thoughts.
Yeah. Well, that was a great discussion so far. If we're going to move to final thoughts now, that was the last topic. But I just want people to know that be careful what you see on the media. I say it all the time. Be careful what you see on the media, and also, like I said before, just look at things from both sides. Obviously, what happened over this last summer, what happened on January 6th, should never ever happen again. And I know obviously by now you haven't figured it out. I'm not a big fan of this president. I'm not a big fan of his policies, but I always hope that he does the best he can for America, and I always wish him well, and I just hope he can do the best he can for America.
Yep, and I'll just give my minute take real here. Biden administration, honestly, especially in the beginning, tackled some issues, hasn't really done a lot, especially racial inequality, equity. He's really touched that at all. And I think that's probably a smart option for someone who's trying to get elected next year, But I think that this infrastructure package is so important for his reelection chances, because Americans will be affected by this positively, and especially the ones that need help now, because our economy is going to go down. Our economy ebbs and flows, and at some point it will go down. And at that point, we need to have a strong safety net for people that are not ready for the economic downturn.
All right, guys. Thank you for the good discussion. Hope everyone got something out of that. I mean, this is always an episode that kind of repeats itself, as months go on and more news comes out. So we've had an episode about the border crisis, and it's cool because the way that our channel is set up, you could go back and watch those old videos and see how our views on everything have changed, and also how just whether we were right or wrong. It's cool to look back at that and see what happened, and also we'll be able to look back at this in 3 months' time, and maybe one day we'll be talking about the infrastructure bill in full because it'll be a real thing by then. But that's all we have for this week. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Danny, Patrick, and Anthony. All great stuff as
No
always.
problem.
And we will see you guys all next week. Thank you.
I love inflation. Bye, guys.